Did you guys know that 90% of US healthcare costs are only due to chronic illnesses like diabetes? So that's like $4 trillion a year. So after I graduated from Caltech with my PhD, I decided to tackle this problem. And I co-founded Integrated Medical Sensors, or IMS. At IMS, we are using cutting-edge semiconductor technology to develop advanced continuous health monitoring solutions for chronic disease management. For example, diabetes alone is a major healthcare problem. There are more than 500 million people in the world who suffer from diabetes, and more than 1 billion are at risk of this disease. Out of these 500 million people with diabetes, 160 are insulin dependent, which means they should be using a continuous monitoring system like continuous glucose monitoring, or CGM. However, a small fraction of these people actually are using CGM. For example, in the US and Europe, there are more than 20 million people who should be using CGM, but only 5 million are actually using CGM. So we have to really look at why that is, because if we can answer that problem, there is potential for multifold growth in this market. And before we go to other chronic diseases, we really have to solve this problem. So the current systems have come a long way. The current CGMs have come a long way, and they have helped millions of patients. However, there are still some challenges. These systems are expensive. They don't always work well. They cause skin irritation, and they only measure glucose. What we think is semiconductor technology is now at a point where it can allow us to revolutionize continuous glucose monitoring, as it has helped us to revolutionize computing. That is really the core of our technology at IMS. So what we see is these current CGMs, they're fantastic devices, but they rely on this single analog or passive sensor that's made of plastics or wires. So what we have done is we have developed this chip-based sensor. This is the first chip-based sensor, which is called CGM on a chip, that actually not only has the sensor, but it also has the electronics. And that actually allows us to reduce the size of the transmitter and make it lighter and make it flexible, so it's easier on the skin. Now, these microchips are really small. These are so small that they fit inside the tip of a needle. Just to give you an idea, this wafer here, this 8-inch wafer here, contains 100,000 of such sensors. And this box alone has 1 million of these sensors. So that gives you an idea of the scale. Now, what semiconductors also do is they provide this extreme scalability in manufacturing. So instead of using old methods like dip coding, which produce small batch devices in tens or hundreds of devices, we can now make 100,000 devices using a single sensor, which are all very repeatable. And that really drives down the cost and really helps us make a lot more devices to really tackle this chronic disease problem head on. This technology also allows us to improve the performance. So here you see the comparison. So in our system, we have this digital sensor in the tissue. This is the first CGM where you have a digital sensor in the tissue, which is creating these very clean digital signals, which are known to be resilient more than analog signals produced in the older CGMs. And also, you can combine these. So you can actually multiplex a lot more data into a single data channel. In comparison, the analog signals are known to be noisy and are very difficult to multiplex. Hence, the output is we get a much cleaner representation of the glucose in the tissue as compared to the traditional CGMs. Not only that, it actually goes further. Now that we have multiple sensors on this chip, we are not relying on a single sensor. We can actually discard any remaining noise by comparing those multiple signals of same reading like glucose. And hence, we get extremely accurate and reliable signal. So we have actually demonstrated all of this, and we have published in well-respected peer-reviewed journals the data from our system that shows that not only in the lab, but also in animal models, our system performs exceptionally well. And then we have done human feasibility studies that actually show that our system works comparable to existing products using this first-of-its-kind CGM on a chip. Now, not only it can measure glucose very accurately, but because there are multiple sensors, we can actually go beyond glucose now. We can actually measure other markers like ketones and temperature and lactate, because we all know at the end our bodies are not making decisions using just a single variable, but instead there's actually a complete metabolic panel in terms of metabolic health and, of course, other diseases. This is the first system that's actually generating these multiple data streams inside the body that then we can send digitally outside, and we have proven that. What it does is the users have to only wear a single device that will provide them this multitude of data for their complete health, and it also reduces cost. Our system has been recognized by multiple prestigious awards with people who know this field. We have published in multiple peer-reviewed journals. And we have developed a robust IP portfolio that consists of several issued patents, multiple pending patents, and trade secrets in this field. We are the first company to really take these semiconductor devices and actually make CGMs out of these. Now, we do believe that this system is not only good for its standalone product, but it also works well with other products. So people who already have solutions can replace their sensor with our chip while keeping their transmitters and softwares and everything else, and hence use their existing knowledge. So far, we have only used non-dilutive fundings. This is our first raise of $50 million ask to actually do our manufacturing and get FDA 510(k) clearance. Thank you so much. My time is almost over. I am here. I'm also online. Please get in touch, and we believe we can work together to improve the lives of many people. Thank you.